President Trump issues an executive order. Pay the 50,000 TSA officers who've not seen a paycheck since February 14th. Give them their back pay. That's from President Trump. And here is this week's panel.
McDonough.
I'm Hassan, Mr. Politics, Giordano.
I'm attorney Tonya Bana.
And I'm Billy Murphy.
Yes, you are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Square Off. I'm Richard Sher, your moderator for just 42 years, and I was 11 when we started. For tens of thousands of flying Americans trying to pass through TSA security lines at many U.S. airports, it has been hell on ice. Some lines so long they stretched outside of the sidewalk, waits as long as 4 to 5 hours. Friday morning at BWI Marshall, the security lines began outside, stretching, it seems, forever, made even more frightening by armed ICE agents at other larger airports. Pat McDonough, what do you have to say about all of this involving the TSA guys?
Well, it's a radical Democrat shutdown, and the radical Democrats don't care about working people. They don't care about people in general. All they care about is power, and by the help of the media, they get away with it.
Well, look, this isn't about radical Democrats or radical Republicans. It's about out-of-touch politicians who don't care about the working man and their pay. Meanwhile, they're getting paid to either go on vacation or sit there and argue with one another while you got lines that look like people are waiting for government cheese or dope handouts as teasers. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's affecting this country, and they need to get it together.
Tonya.
Yeah, I'm smirking because Pat's guilty of what we call in the psychology field projection. The Democrats absolutely care about working people. I'm a Democrat, and all I do is try to help people with work-related issues. So this is not an issue or situation caused by Democrats. It's in fact a situation caused by a president who refuses to reach across the aisle and negotiate mutually agreeable solutions, and to suggest that the Democrats are responsible for the problems that people are having across their kitchen tables when our president is manipulating the stock market to line his own pockets is really hypocritical.
Well, I think that there are a couple of things going on here. Number one, the president does not want to negotiate a deal with the Democrats under any circumstances about the poor performance, the lack of training, and the guidelines that ICE has evidently ignored, even though they are probably non-existent. The Republicans have suggested that they're willing to compromise on this issue and settle it once and for all. Trump told them they better not do that. He's going to handle this. And hence he comes up with, out of thin air, some kind of power to suddenly pay ICE or TSA rather. And if he had that power, why did he wait so long to use it? And so this is a big phony setup. And working Americans and people who want to help working class Americans can see right through it. And by the way, I'm one of those radical Democrats you're talking about, Pat. Look how radical I am. Oh my God, I'm so radical.
Really, you look radical today. You do.
I would like to think that something we could all agree on is that how is it legal for the government not to pay people who are working? This would not be lawful in the private sector. So, what we should be talking about, what's the long-term solution for ensuring that people, our people who are doing the work every day to keep our government functioning and working are getting paid, while these jerks who are out of touch, as Hassan pointed out, are fighting over stuff that is, has nothing to do with whether or not they should get paid.
Let me ask you this, Pat. I know you want to speak. Why can, what Tanya is asking is, how can the government hold the TSA agents hostage? And many of them, thank goodness for them, worked. Others had to quit their jobs and drive Ubers, Lyfts, work in stores. Pat, let's hear from you, please.
Put this in perspective to start with. First of all, the ICE people had already been funded in the big, beautiful bill. The Democrats could not change the funding related to the ICE people. But anyway, regardless of that, and they know that because they're not stupid, they're just radical, they decided to go against the American people and they voted against the budget. They shut the government down. Now, the Republicans voted to keep the government alive, but the Democrats voted to shut it down. And that's the fact, Jack. And let me tell you something else. There have been 3 resolutions offered by the Republicans to get the government started again, and the Democrats voted against all 3 of them. The Democrats don't care about working people. They only care about power. They only care about the idea of taking control of things. They only want to criticize Trump with their Trump derangement syndrome. And they have the media on their side, moving the American people so that they don't really know the truth. But someday they will know the truth. But when this government opens back up, it'll be because of the Republicans, not the Democrats.
So let me
Pat,
let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, there's a Republican president and a Republican-controlled Congress, both chambers, the Senate and the House. So at what point are the Democrats at fault for holding anything up? All they wanted and negotiated with Schumer is take the mask off for ICE, be a man, and take your mask off and identify yourself. And 2, put some protocols in place so it's not the wild, wild west that they're running around here doing with. But at the same time, the sweetest gig in America is to serve in Congress because they continue to get paid while the American people, the working class individual, has to struggle day in and day out, worried about their petty little political fights that go on each and every day.
What about that, Pat?
Well, let me go on record. First of all, anybody here today that's any of my good friends that are on the panel today that are talking about how the Congress, the Senate, and the House are spoiled brats, amen. I'm with you 100%. Mm-hmm. However, the Senate is not controlled by the Republicans because of the filibuster. They can't get the government open because the Democrats will not cooperate, although 3 resolutions have been put forward by the Republican leadership. The House, they control by a few votes. So it's easy to go around and propagandize and say, oh, the president's a Republican, the Senate's Republican, the House is Republican, when all intelligent people, including this panel, know that that's BS.
But Pat, you're the one who started the discussion. Talk about radical Democrats. We're simply responding to the framing that you established for this discussion. How about we talk about something again that I think we can all agree on? Why is the Department of Defense blowing through billions of dollars to buy furniture we don't need and lobster tails we don't need to eat because they want to preserve their budget for next year? A system that forces people to spend money or lose it for stuff that we don't need. When we're trying to struggle and pretend that we can't afford health care and retirement benefits for our citizens and our veterans is broken.
And if you want to talk about something that's radical, how about the way Trump and the Republicans treat working people? Working people can no longer afford to live and prosper in America. The food is too high. Let's start with that. If that alone is messed up, gasoline prices are through the roof and threatening to go higher because this president did not consider the consequences of his behavior because that's arrogant. Hegseth, one of the worst military leaders in the history of the world, who doesn't understand tactics, strategy, long-term planning, you name it. And so that's what's radical about what's going on.
Right, Pat.
And now he wants to take away the right to vote by mail, even though he just voted by mail.
Right.
He's been voting by mail. And so that's radical. Anybody with common sense can see it's radical, it's un-American, it's unprecedented in the history of America. And so if you want to call somebody radical, look in the mirror, Pat.
Mr. Pat.
First of all, the Democrats allowed their party to become destroyed. When I was 28 years old, I was a Democrat and I ran for the House of Delegates against the political machine, and I won that race. I was a Democrat when I worked for William Donald Schaefer in his office. So I've been a Democrat, and I became a Republican during the Ronald Reagan years. But first of all, Trump, what happened to Venezuela? Venezuela is now calmed down and under our control. Were we going to wait for the next 24 to 36 months and let Iran build their missiles? They've just shot a missile 2,500 miles to Diego Garcia, the island. Were we going to wait another 24 months so they can build their nuclear power, nuclear tipped missiles and bomb the hell out of Israel and bomb maybe America, downtown Baltimore or Washington, D.C., or now their missiles can reach Europe? Are we going to sit like all the foolish presidents, Republicans and Democrats before this president, who didn't have the courage and the common sense to stand up to the most dangerous administration in the history of the world? People who said our whole life is about destroying the world because they wanted our Messiah, the Mahdi, and he can't come back unless there's a world war. What is it? People don't know this stuff? Don't they read?
Tonya, go.
This is a boomer's folly, okay? Because there is a whole generation of people in Iran who didn't hate us. All we just did is create a whole new generation of people who know how to do terrorism way better than we ever will know how to stop terrorism. And by the way, I thought our president told us that he had destroyed all of their missiles and all their capability to do what they're doing right now last year. This is an unforced error. We created this situation. And Pat, if you punch me in my face, I'm gonna kick you I'm gonna kick you. Okay. Self-defense is everyone's right. Okay. Self-defense is right.
Tonya,
And
I love you so much. You got to stop picking on me.
Iran is defending itself against an attack that was unprovoked and unnecessary in light of the lack of any imminent threat to the United States.
And by the way, Pat, the overwhelming majority of Americans disapprove of this war. The overwhelming majority of Americans disapprove of the leadership of the war. The overwhelming majority of Americans want the war to end. The overwhelming majority of Americans want to be able to afford to live in America again. If that's radical, count me in, brother.
Hold on, let me answer that. The overwhelming majority of Americans disapproved of and did not want to go into World War II, in case you don't know that. Secondly, until Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, it changed. Also, there were 10,000 American soldiers in the Pacific killed on Iwo Jima and Okinawa. The American people of today, misled and lied to by the press, wanted to take FDR and impeach him back in the Second World War. This generation of Americans are being misled by the media and they're being lied to. I can't understand why so many Americans don't even understand the basics of what is happening to their country. You talk about radical, your party's the radical party.
Well, at least they're being misled by the media and not their own president and vice president.
Well, 80% of the media, Hassan, is against the war and they hate Trump. So you're never going to get a straight story.
All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop for just a moment. Good discussion, heated. I like it. Now here is the voice of Square Off, Howard Mallison. Please support our sponsors. Howard.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. You know, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, your choice for a great meal starts at the Double T Diner. And all the menu choices are served the entire day. The Double T Diner has locations all over town: Route 40 West, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Bel Air, Laurel, Annapolis, Pasadena, and the EC Diner in Ellicott City. You've never seen a menu with so many selections. Plus, Monday nights are lobster night at By the Docks in Middle River, part of the Double T family. Let them know you heard about them on Square Off. And if you or your family has experienced personal injury, medical malpractice, or nursing home neglect, it's time to call the law firm of Barry Glazer. He has the legal team and resources to go after the big insurance companies to get you every penny he can. And with an in-house doctor and nurse, his attorneys work on the toughest and most complex medical malpractice cases. Barry Glazer is your best advocate for the injured, disabled, and medically abused. So give Barry Glazer a call at 410-547-8568. Let him know you heard about him on Square Off. And if you're experiencing any kind of foot pain that requires medical attention, I recommend Dr. Kelly Gagan, a well-respected board-certified podiatrist and heel specialist. No one is immune from foot problems. Also, if your concern is the appearance of your feet, Dr. Gagan has a long record of success in using laser treatments to correct your issue. Plus, they're safe, they're painless, they go right to the root of the problem. Dr. Gagan's record of success speaks for itself. So, don't suffer from the agony of defeat. Start winning with a call to Dr. Kelly Gagan at 410-753-4422 to set up an appointment. Once again, that's 410-753-4422. Back to you, Rich.
All right, Howard, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to this week's Square Off program. And this has been a tumultuous, frustrating week as the war with Iran continues. It's sort of like the story of two wars. One, Donald Trump says he's already won, and that Iran in talks agreed not to build a nuclear weapon. While, on the other hand, Iran says there have been no talks at all. Yet there's no easy Trump way out in sight. Some think Trump thought this would be another short war like Venezuela. Not so, as you know. And Iran has rejected Trump's 15-point plan for peace. And to make matters worse, while Trump might be looking to end the war, Israel wants to keep it going. Who wants to jump in now?
People of Israel, the 7 billion people that live in Israel understand the danger of Iran. They understand it. They know that if Iran is allowed to continue to exist under the Ayatollah government, that their time is limited because they have threatened, and not only threatened, but they swore under their religion to destroy to destroy Israel and America. So Israel is not like the American people being misled by the media and some of the Democrats, not all the Democrats, but a great deal,
Right.
Many of them. So the fact of the matter is that I don't know what Trump is talking about, but you know what? He talks that way because he doesn't want the Iranians to know what the hell he's talking about. They have no idea what he's up to.
All right,
He
Pat.
confuses them.
So, but my question is this: it's real simple. When does America start minding its own damn business? Keeping your notes, like we are always the ones that are dumping our money that we don't have for homeless and everything else that we don't have for Americans. You're dumping it into foreign wars. You're going to war with countries that you have nothing to do with. Let them handle it. I don't understand why this president specifically and in his country overall continues to meddle in people's business time after time, but it's the American people who are the ones suffering.
Yeah, you don't get to set the house on fire and then get a parade for putting the fire out. Okay, young people in Iran were protesting against the government before this. But when you kill 180 schoolgirls, you're going to make a lot of enemies that didn't exist. And that's where we are right now. This is an unforced error. We created a whole new generation of people who will hate us, and rightly so. But that's what happens now we're seeing what really happens when you have these DEI whites in charge. They don't know what they're doing. He's hiring people based on loyalty and fealty and commitment to his agenda rather than basic competence. And per usual, they plow ahead into things that they don't understand the depth of. They don't have a plan. And here we are stuck now spending $1 billion a day or a week. I don't know. Either way, it's tragic, because what it really highlights, and this is what the American people are recognizing, Pat, that if we can find $1 million a day to fund an unnecessary war, all the rhetoric and lies about needing to find waste and abuse, it was all a lie.
Billy,
None of it was ever true.
Wow.
Well, what strikes me over and over again is the sheer incompetence of the people who work for Trump. And the problem is very simple. He hired them because they would be absolutely loyal to him and do whatever he tells them to do. That's not a prescription for how to run a business or a government. If all you care about is loyalty and you don't care whether or not the tactics and strategy are part of the person's portfolio of leadership, if you don't care about whether the administration of a department is not your competency, if all you care about is who's giving you money and enabling your agenda, then you get an incompetent government. And that's what we have right now. Overwhelmingly incompetent government.
Go ahead, Pat.
And so,
like Baltimore City.
hold on,
Hassan.
hold on. One last point. The American people are tired of it. The American people overwhelmingly find that Trump is an incompetent president. They are overwhelmingly opposed to him, and the Republicans will get wiped out in the next election. Everybody, including you, Pat, know that. Now, what's Trump gonna do about it? He's not going to be a Democratic president, meaning following Democratic principles. He's going to try to fix the election. And it's happening in plain sight what he's trying to do. And so, if we're to maintain our democracy, we have to radically reform the radical Republicans. And we're on the way to do that.
All right, Pat, we'll give you an opportunity.
I'd like to respond to that filibuster.
Go ahead.
Number one,
Pat,
a lot of people have no idea what Iran is all about. There are 90 million people in Iran. 30 million belong to the Ayatollah and the Revolutionary Guard. They are the Iranians related to the Iraqis. 60 million of them are Persians. They have an army of 400,000 men and women who are Persians, who do not like the Ayatollah. That's who Trump is talking to. That's who can take over the country and turn it into a democracy and not take away the fear that Israel. Now, as far as Billy's talking about the Democrats taking over in 26, he's right. They're going to take over tremendously. They're going to win the presidency in 28. They're going to have 4 years reign of terror. They're going to arrest, indict everybody that was a Republican or related to Trump. They're going to open the borders and allow millions of more people to come into the country. They're going to let China attack Taiwan. They're going to allow the Iranians to build their bombs. They're going to do all this crazy radical crap. And in the 30 election for presidency and the midterms, they're all going to be thrown out of office because the American people will have finally wised up and seen this reign of terror for 4 years, and they would have had enough.
Thank you, Pat. Go ahead, Hassan.
Well, listening to the arguments, I have to say, the Save America Act, as Billy was talking about, is basically a rigging an election piece of legislation right before our eyes. But I'm listening to both arguments, and as an independent, I cannot wait for, I hope it's 2028, that an independent third party can get in, become president, and put this stuff to rest. Because we're talking about the same, everything you just said, Pat, the Democrats are going to do, President Trump has already done, and Republicans have already.
He shut the border down.
No, yeah, but you're talking about they're going to go after every Republican, and they're going to criminalize them, and they're going to put them in jail, and Trump is the master of that. There's no difference between either party and their extremism. When do we get back to the middle, the moderacy, where we can work together for the American people? While you may have your extremes on both ends of each party, at the end of the day, 67% of Americans don't care about either one of them, and they're suffering in America because of it. They'd rather fight a political war. It's just like the elephants running over the grass, right? We all know that analogy. That's exactly what America is suffering right now.
And meanwhile, the losers in all this political, rank with all because of all this political rancor is the American people. Because we don't have closed borders, Pat. We're shipping in white people. Okay, we are shipping in white people from South Africa. And giving them money. We are giving money to people from other countries.
Yeah, because the blacks are oppressing and killing the farmers.
I did not interrupt you, Rudy.
The blacks are killing the farmers.
What you're not going to do, what you're not going to do is treat me like a second-class citizen, because that hasn't happened yet. Okay, we are shipping in white people and paying their bills who are not American. So it was never about paying for people who aren't from here. It was about the color of the people who aren't from here. Let's be real.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to calm things down and talk about the red hot Baltimore Orioles. How about that? Opening day was great. It really was. Beautiful day, beautiful pitching, unbelievable 2-1 birds. Now here is the king of our birds, Howard Mallison.
Thank you, Richard. Bad drivers are everywhere. That's why auto accidents are on the rise. And if you've experienced an accident, the insurance companies can't tell you where to take your car. This is the reason that more drivers are trusting Leading Edge auto body and mechanical repair. Leading Edge works on all makes and models and offer free pickup and delivery anywhere in the Baltimore area. But give them a call at 410-433-6433 or visit them at 5807 Falls Road in the heart of Mount Washington. Leading Edge makes your car look and run like new again. And Pappas restaurants and sports bars are synonymous with the best crab cake you'll ever taste. But there's a lot more to the Pappas menu, a whole host of specialty dishes you won't find anywhere else. So for fine dining, special occasions, or just watching sports, Pappas should be your number one choice. That's why Oprah put the Pappas crab cake on her favorite things list. And Pappas ships their crab cakes all over the country. So with 4 locations, Parkville, Cockeysville, Glen Burnie, and Bel Air, I guarantee you'll become a Pappas regular. Back to you, Richard.
All right, Leading Edge is great. They fixed Annabelle's car. It runs like a brand new car. Howard, why don't you stay here? Because
Okay.
Howard, come back. There's
Yes,
Howard,
I'm back.
who's one of the great sports fans and Oriole fans, and of course,
And jazz fans.
and what?
Jazz fan, right?
Jazz fan.
That's right. Howard plays the drums. Billy plays the drums. And Billy beats the drums all the time, ladies and gentlemen. Well, after one of the coldest ice and snowiest winters ever, it is time to get hot. At Camden Yards, play ball. The Orioles are back in town. Baseball weekend began Thursday afternoon with the Birds and the Minnesota Twins. Final Baltimore 2, Minnesota 1, and it was a pitching duel on the Camden Yards diamond. Get it? Jewel on the diamond. Left-hand ace Trevor Rogers on the mound for the O's. Joe Ryan for the Twins. It was a beauty, Howard. Let's start with you talking about the Orioles.
Well, it was a beauty. The irony of all this is you didn't know what to expect with this Orioles team because of injuries to 2 of their premier players, Westberg and Holiday, being on the injured list to start the season. But Kobe Mayo and this player that they got from the Arizona Diamondbacks, Blaze Alexander, made their presence felt. And I think with the pitching staff the Orioles have assembled this year, they're going to be fun to watch.
I think the ownership is to be commended because the new owner has stepped up to the plate. He spent some money where money needed to be spent. He has improved the roster dramatically. And it's too bad that we have those 2 injuries because if they were healthy, this would probably be the best roster in Major League Baseball. And so you got to give you got to give the owner the props here, and you got to give Elias his props as well because he consistently picks young players who can do the job and gets veterans who can do the job.
TV, are you an Orioles fan?
In theory.
All right, in theory.
If not in practice. I'm almost always rooting for the home team, for sure.
Hassan, you're a Ravens fan. I guess you switched to baseball.
I'm a Ravens fanatic. I used to have season tickets to the Orioles and got rid of it, but I do go on a regular, especially taking my sons, and now our team goes down a lot, meaning from the state's attorney's office. Look, I agree with Billy. The ownership, there's a lot of credit. They invested a lot. Pete Alonso, obviously, the elephant in the room, bringing over. We haven't had a great fielding and hitting first baseman in a very long time. Trevor Rogers pitched a hell of a gem on opening day. 7 innings, shutout innings to give us that victory. I predict that the Orioles may not get to the World Series as I would hope, but I definitely think that they're going to make a big play to get back into the playoffs, which we missed last season, and make some noise while they're in the playoffs. And I'm still trying to figure out how we can get political commercials on Square Off, because I would love a Bates for Baltimore political commercial inside y'all advertisement. So make that happen, Howard. Let me know how much that costs.
Well, Howard's in charge of that stuff.
I'll be happy to call you.
All right.
Pat.
The question is I've been spending $10,000 plus on crab cakes at the sporting event.
No. We don't.
I'd like to get my 2 cents in.
Go ahead. Take
Go
three.
ahead.
Well, the Orioles have one of the best teams in the major leagues now, I believe. Here's the problem. They're in the Eastern Division. If they were in any other division, they would automatically get into the playoffs. But we know about the beast from the East. It's going to be tough, but I think they can do it. Also, I see that $600 million that the state taxpayers provided to the baseball team is being spent now on big scoreboards and elitist dining rooms. So I'm glad it's being spent.
Very good. Howard,
The
final word
elite,
on
what you
this.
call the elitist dining rooms are basically the comfort. They're going to be a comfortable way to watch a baseball game when you're out there. If you're as a business person, if you want to take people to impress them and have a great day and be protected from cold or whatever, in a restaurant that seats 350 people, you're going to enjoy yourself. So I think it's a great thing.
And it's an open,
I
clean
predict it'll
design.
last
Hold
one
on.
year. I
Hold on,
predict
don't
it'll
let
last
It's
Billy.
an
1 year.
open,
It'll be
clean.
gone by next year because the fans of the Orioles are working class people mostly. The business guys aren't going to go in there and pay $15 for a hamburger because they know it's a ripoff. It'll be gone by next year.
Thank you, Pat. Pat. Billy.
No, I'm not going to comment further about the Orioles. Let's talk about the Ravens for a minute. What do you think about that trade that was canceled, and the fact that we got Hendrickson to replace our original target?
Absolutely. And DJ Reader might be coming. They're trying to get him as well. Used to be with Cincinnati. That is a huge. The Baltimore Ravens have shored up their defense, and we got the safety from free agency that's going to shore up that back end so we can put Kyle Hamilton back on the front line. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm excited about these. Now I'm still pissed off that we let the entire tight end group go because of Mark Andrews' contract. We still got to do some work on the offensive line. But Billy, you're right. This is going to be an exciting. We're getting back to Raven defense first.
Right.
Pat, is it true, Pat, that the Ravens have talked to you about replacing the center?
No, but I will say this. I'm too skinny now that they won't do that. But I think the Ravens leadership is on medication. That's my only comment.
All right. Howard, thanks a lot for tuning in.
My pleasure.
Good to see you, buddy. All right, we're going to read some of the letters now. We now have a Square Off mailbox. You can write your comments about our panel or topics. You just have to go to squareoff.net and go down to see, we want to hear from you. Click on that and it gives you a page to write whatever you'd like to write about Billy or Hassan, Mr. Politics, Mr. Pat, and of course, the amazing attorney, Tonya, the Bana. Here's a letter from Sam L. in Hamden, longtime friend of your show since back in the TV days. I'd like to see more one-on-one special interviews with local dignitaries like State's Attorney Ivan Bates and Police Commissioner Rich Worley. Well, Sam, guess what? Got good news for you next week on Square Off one-on-one. Me and State's Attorney Ivan Bates, who's always a terrific guest and is doing wonderful things to take care of the bad guys. Here's one from Sarah H. in Westminster. Square Off is a reflection of the country, very divided, and it shows week to week with your panelists. I love good debate, and you guys gave us one today. And from Michael G. in Towson, I would like to see a show on what is happening in Towson and why all the restaurants near the Cinemax theaters have closed. So go to Square Off on YouTube at squareoff.net, squareoff.net. Send your comments in. Billy, thank you. Tonya, of course. Mr. Pat, Mr. Politics. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I'm Richard Sher. See you next time. And once again, we square off. So long, everybody. Good show. Good show.